Here's a place where you can take comfort in the knowing that whether if you've come to stay a while or just passing through, this door is open to you. Come and let's be silent. Come and share a hug. Come, let's pray together. Come, love and be loved. From the blissed out to the turned out, from the pampered to the abused, this door is open to you. Come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in. The God in us recognizes the God in you, the God in you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist or Jew, this door is open to you. If there's some kind of trouble or pain you're going through, know that you are not alone and someone cares for you. As an individualization of divine point of view, this door is open to you. This door is open. This door right here, this door is open to you. Is open for you. This door is open to you. This door is open. I'm talking about this door. This door is open. I said this door is open to you. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. The God in us recognizes the God in you. The God in you. Whether you're black or white.
Good morning and come on in. Happy spring. Today it is official spring. And for those of you that are tuning into other parts of the country, I'm sure you're affirming that it is spring, as snow may still be there. But welcome to each and every one of you. As the song says, come on in. It doesn't matter what religion or no religion, we acknowledge the divinity in you. We always like to begin our time together with an opening prayer. I invite you to turn your awareness within. We greet this day, a day of spring, a day where the universe is in a particular state of alignment, a day that says change is on the horizon, a day that beckons you to look, to notice, to see the emergence of life that has appeared to be dead or latent or somehow missing, that rises through the earth and says, I am not dead, but I have regrouped, I have regenerated, I have assimilated, that I can bring forth my latest version, my most recent current update of how I'm called to express. Today we open to that vitality of life through the doorway of zeal and enthusiasm. And for this time together, we know that we are blessed, and we know that we are blessed in order to be the blessing. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen. What a beautiful group you are today. It is so wonderful to have you. For those of you that are in the building, would you turn and acknowledge the beautiful group that is joining from wherever you are? We see you in your PJs. We see you in your car. We see you with your feet propped up in bed. We see you wherever you are and whenever you are. And we love you and appreciate you joining together. We acknowledge our children here today. We are currently still offering Sunday school for children 5 and older. And so if we have any young people today that would like to be part of the Sunday school program, we invite you to come over with Reverend Barbara and Reverend Barbara Ann and Reverend Gabby. I'm about to make you a true Southerner, Gabby Ann. We always tell our children here, we affirm to all children that blessing that says we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the divinity in you. Let us bless our children today. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the divinity in you. I'll never forget parents telling me their little child, they came in, were giving their child a bath, and the child had the baby rubber ducky or something and was saying, "I love you, I bless you, I appreciate you, and I behold the divinity in you, and I baptize you." That's what happens when you go to grandma's church and the other. You get really blessed. You get sprinkled and baptized and all the kind of blessings. Well, we are so glad that you are here today. If you have your cell phone and it's on, I'm asking you to turn it off or put it on airplane mode. It keeps the airwaves clear, and it also helps individuals who are very sensitive to that. So I want to thank you for that. Richard Schulman, our music director, has been out of town. He got back late last night, and so this week I said, "Well, do you need a break?" And he said, "That would be great. Could you get by one more week without me?" So I put a phone call in to our dear friend, Amy Steinberg, who said, "Hey, I'll be here." Yeah. It's always a joy when we have Amy with us. She's going to kick us off this morning with a Daniel Nabon song that says, "Swing wide the door."
1, 2, 3, 4. If you know it, I'm going to ask you to sing it with me because I learned it today. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn of humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Sing it with me. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide this door, this heart of mine. I'm not holding it in anymore, no. I'm gonna shout it out loud. I understand now what I'm here for and what life is about. What this life is about. Come on. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn of humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing it wide. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking the chance. It's about love, it's about service, about lending a hand, lending a hand. Oh, one more time, come on. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn of humankind. Swing wide the door, this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. For you, Rev.
You swing wide that door beautifully. We're truly blessed to have Amy, but we have a rock solid band every week with us. Dave, Joel, Pete, and Joey. And I want to give them our appreciation for that. Reverend Christy Korn is going to share some brief announcements with you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Beautiful, beautiful day. So I want to share some announcements with you this week happening here in the sanctuary. We have sound immersion with Joey Dukes and his gongs, and bring your yoga mat or a blanket and come soak in those healing vibes. Thank you for that. That's at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, the 23rd. Then we have BIPOC Raw Reverend Deborah Geest and Patrice Vernetta Leeser back there. Thank you for that. That is on Zoom at 7:15. Beautiful opportunity to bridge the gap and create more racial understanding. So brilliant guests that you have too. So thank you for that. Pardon?
What date? 23rd?
What date? The 23rd. That's also on Wednesday, the 23rd at 7:15 p.m. So check out our website. We've got a lot of cool things happening here. One thing I want to mention is if you want to renew your membership to remain an active member here, there are forms out in the lobby, or you can do it online. There's still time to do that. Please see me and let me know that you're interested in renewing still. And then next week, you do not want to miss, Esther Nicholson is coming back. She's she's an amazing musician, artist, author, speaker, and she'll be here to share a message and music. She played with Bette Midler, and Rod Stewart was backup singer there, and so she's just brilliant. And then she's offering a workshop in the afternoon at 12:30, so you can register for that online. If you don't have online capabilities, please see me, and we'll make sure you can get onto that. It's we're doing a little hybrid, so we're doing in person here, and we're also doing it on Zoom, so you have two options there. So check that out on our website, and then save the date, May 1st, May Day. We're going to have a special community celebration here. So we'll have a May Day community celebration. We'll have food, festivities, fellowship, all kinds of fun events lined up, and an opportunity for all of us to come back together and celebrate who we are in a wonderful way. So save the date. More details coming about that. And now I would like to introduce someone very, very special to share our inspirational reading. We're focusing on zeal and enthusiasm. Zeal and enthusiasm. So let's give a warm welcome to Angela Lee Tucker.
Thanks, y'all. According to the Oxford New American Dictionary, the definition of zeal is great energy or enthusiasm in pursuit of a cause or an objective. At 94 years old, Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, declared with this affirmation, "I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm and spring forth with a mighty faith to do all that I ought to be done by me." 94 years old. I try to approach all things in my life with zeal and enthusiasm. Many of you know that in 2008, I survived a car crash that caused a traumatic brain injury, or TBI, that I live with today. It took me a few years to regain the balance needed to walk, and less to be able to learn to talk again. I've made great gains and will be on this healing journey for the rest of my life. I feel I've been given a second chance at life, and I want to make the most of it. Birthdays are something I appreciate the most. I approach with great zeal. Mine is tomorrow. And my mother-in-law, Mother Margaret, is today. Happy birthday! Because birthdays are pathways that are filled with new opportunities. Along with being my birthday month, March is also Brain Injury Awareness Month. I encourage all of us to find our joys in every day and live our lives with as much zeal and enthusiasm as possible.
Shine, be glorious, reflect the divine. Shine, be glorious, reflect the divine. Spirit of mine, Spirit divine, let me shine your light. dark. The light of my God always shines bright, even in the night. Shine, be glorious, reflect the divine. Shine, be glorious, reflect the divine. Spirit of mine, Spirit divine, let me shine in your light. Let me be a vessel, let me be a vessel, let me be a vessel of love. You can sing that with me. Let me be a vessel, let me be a vessel, let me be a vessel of love. Yeah. I open my heart this miracle day. The love of my God gives me it all the good I can take. Shine, be glorious, reflect the divine. Shine, be glorious, reflect the divine. Spirit of mine, Spirit divine, let me shine in your light. Come on, let me be a vessel, let me be a vessel, let me be a vessel of love. Let me be a vessel, let me be a vessel, let me be a vessel of love. Let me be a vessel, let me be a vessel, let me be a vessel of love. Shine, be glorious, reflect the divine. Shine, be glorious, reflect the divine. Spirit of mine, Spirit divine, let me shine in your light. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, Amy Steinberg and this amazing band. That was absolutely perfect. She wrote that song, and if there was ever a theme song for today's message, it is that song. Amy, it was absolutely beautiful. Would you take an opportunity and stand? And you know, we're not yet hugging. We are unmasked, some of us, but just take this opportunity and shine to one another. Extend your welcome to one another. And while we take this opportunity, we also extend it to those that are joining us virtually. Those that are joining from a different place, we welcome you. Thank you so much. You may be seated. Shine, be glorious. Well, today is week 10 of a 12-week series that is based on something that Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, called the 12 powers. Understanding that word power a little loosely, what he's really saying is that there are 12 attributes, aspects, 12 what I like to call natural byproducts of our nature. That who we are at our essence is an expression of all that is. You really get that who we are, each and every one, at our essence is an expression of all that is. We are like the beautiful light disguised in a lampshade. And the joy of this life is to know yourself beyond the shade, but not to discard the shade, but to shine through the shade, to show up as that shade bringing forth the light of God. You see, it's not an either or, it's a necessity of both. And so this series is about natural aspects, natural byproducts of who we are as that light. And it has also given us the opportunity to think about language and words and to look at these words perhaps in a new way through that context of light and of spirit. And so the first week we talked about the attribute, the natural byproduct of faith, which is our being spiritually established. Now, I hope when you hear these every week, you can hear being, capital B, being, period, spiritual established. And then you can also hear it as an action, being spiritually established. It's that level of depth in each of these. So faith is being spiritually established. Strength is being spiritually enabled. Love is being spiritually impressed and expressed. Wisdom is being spiritually enlightened. Power is being spiritually empowered. Imagination is being spiritually inspired. Understanding is being spiritually realized. Will is being spiritually self-directed. Last week we talked about order as being self-organized, the self-organizing principle. What are we organizing ourself, our energy, our life around? And today we reach zeal. Now, how many of you have used the word zeal in your vocabulary lately? Angela. Because she did a reading on Zeal. She shared on Zeal beautifully, by the way. It's not, let's just say it's not a modern word. We don't go around saying, Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, would always say, I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. He talked about zeal a lot. Well, what zeal essentially means is being enthused. But that also leads us to another word, like what really is enthusiasm? Sometimes enthusiasm is understood as excitement and really kind of excitement only, but we want to look at what that really is, because being enthused is, it's being authentically expressing the Spirit of God. It's being the light, it's being the vessel, it's shining. Being an authentic expression of God is that activity in you. So what is it? Where does it come from? How do we get it? Well, I want to start with, because this is a week of zeal, and we've really gone deep on this, I'm going to do my best to give you some levity, and so look out for a few possibly bad jokes today, but it's all meant to be interwoven in to really create this experience that we're looking for. So there was a man that was driving through a quaint, charming little neighborhood, and he was going kind of slow, and he came up on just as the light was turning yellow, and he stopped when he could have made it through the light, and there was a car tailgating him. And because he was driving so leisurely and didn't go through, the car behind him, when they were stopped, there was a woman in the car. She started honking the horn, and she was shaking her fist out of the window, and then she changed to some other sign language she was giving out the window. And her windows are down, and she's ranting, road rage, having to sit still. She's obviously in a hurry. And she hears a tap on her window, and she looks beside her, and there stands the police officer, motioning for her to roll down her window. And he said, ma'am, I need to see your license and your registration, and then I need you to get out of your car, hands up. And so she hands over her stuff. She gets out of the car. She's standing behind it. And she said she stood there for what felt like a half an hour with her arms in the air while he's in there on the radio, and he keeps looking. And finally he came back and said, you can put your arms down. Give her license and her registration back. And he said, I apologize for stopping you. However, the tailgate of your car is covered with bumpers that say, Jesus loves you. Follow me to church. Make peace, not war. Let your light shine. And he said, so of course, when I saw all of that and then saw your road rage, I thought somebody had stolen this vehicle. That how could anyone be that enthusiastic for God and have that level of road rage? So what is really enthusiasm when we talk about it? Zeal, being enthused, the root of the word enthusiasm. In Greek, en means in or within. And then thus comes from theos. Do you know what theos in Greek means? It means God. So the root of the word enthusiasm or zeal is being in God. But it doesn't, when you really comprehend the depth of the translation, It says having your being authentically established to express the life force of God. It is being an authentic expression of the life force of God. Just hear that again. Being an authentic expression of the life force of God. Would you say that with me? Being an authentic expression of the life force of God. And if we talked about all of these 12 powers, attributes, natural byproducts, they all work together. Not necessarily in this order because it's more circular. They're all working at the same time. And so this enthusiasm is tempered by and complemented by all of these other attributes. But enthusiasm is that authentic expression of the life of God. You feel it as an energy, as an urging. You feel it sometimes, believe it or not, enthusiasm knocks on your door in a disguise called divine discontent. That if you, I was in meditation one time and I was really feeling just this, I couldn't put my finger on it. Now I know it is divine discontent. And in my meditation, I saw this image of a giraffe and a Volkswagen. That's because that's how my mind works. That's how my spirit communicates with me. I saw this giraffe and a Volkswagen. And all of a sudden, the head popped up to the top and the legs started coming out. And I got the message. It's like when it's time for you to come out, when it's time for you to spring forth, today's the first day of spring, when it's time for you to spring forth as the latest update of yourself. You know, with your software in your computer, if you don't update it, honey, you get left behind. If you don't update it, after a while, you can't communicate with what's working and what's currently available. You hear that? And so your spirit says, if you're not updating, if you're not staying current and allowing life to move you and grow you and express through you, then you may feel divine discontent. Not a bad thing. It's just helping you realize it's time for me to lean into the next revelation of what I'm being called to be. Enthusiasm can be seen in an expression. Many of us have witnessed and learned through the mask wearing. How many of you have smiled really hard so the person behind, when you're behind your mask, so they could see the greeting? I know I have. I've tried harder to say, I know you're seeing this, but see what's coming through my eyes. You know, see, I am happy. I'm happy. I got joy. That enthusiasm shows up in our mannerisms. It shows up in your energy, in your thought, in your intentions. It is absolutely, positively contagious. Now, when we think about, letting life live you, the greatest example, and Jesus pointed to this example a lot, is children. I taught kindergarten 1 year. It only took 1 year to realize that that was not my highest calling, but it was a great, great part of my journey. These little 4-year-old master teachers taught me so much, and they taught me a lot about enthusiasm. Because they would come in enthusiastically joyful or not every day. And they would be so excited, they'd say, come here, look at the color on this bug. Let me tell you what I did this weekend. And these were the good ones when they were so excited and said, let me tell you what my mommy did or my daddy did. You're like, okay. They would be painting and they'd say, look, I made my very own color. When red touches blue, look what happens. They discovered they could make purple. There's just such enthusiasm. And yet, as we know with children, you also have to mature in all the other areas. But unfortunately, what happens so often in life is we dial down our enthusiasm. We get so weary, so world worn down. Animals, pets, if you have a canine, especially if you have a dog, I have an 18-month-old puppy. She's a great teacher in enthusiasm. When we go for a walk, I have to say, honey, this is not a buffet, this is a walk. Because she likes to eat everything. This week, she managed to eat a little piece of plastic, which resulted in a vet visit, which she's fine. But I had to have a talk with her and say, we have to temper your enthusiasm with wisdom. To which she looked at me and said, Mama, you're the boss. You got to figure this stuff out. But enthusiasm has to be tempered, especially with love, with wisdom, and with our power, with all of these other powers. But you can see that if you have enthusiasm without love, it becomes a selfish forcefulness. If you have enthusiasm without wisdom, you are not safe and you are probably endangering others. If you have enthusiasm and you are not in right relationship with power, you may wind up in a situation like Putin's in right now, totally out of control. And so when we talk about enthusiasm, it really does work, I want you to understand, in the midst of all of these, because it is not that the cheerleader rah-rah excitement, try to pump yourself up. I remember years and years ago, my parents got into Amway, and this is not an advertisement for or against Amway, but I remember having people over to our house, and I kept seeing them draw circles, and I heard my parents one morning sitting having coffee, and they said, if it's this hard to be excited about it, surely we need to find something else to do. Enthusiasm has to be authentic, and we're going to dig into that a little bit today. Charles Fillmore, speaking of enthusiasm and zeal, said, zeal is the impulse to go forward, the urge behind all things. At 94 years old, as Angela said, 94, he wrote this, get this, with a piece of crayon on construction paper. They have it in the archives of Unity. I love that he used a crayon at 94 years old to write this on construction paper. And it says, I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm to spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me. He was truly connected with something inside of him. Now, for each of these aspects, each of these capacities, states of being, there's a disciple. There's 12 disciples, and there's a disciple that correlates and helps us connect with this teaching. The disciple here is called Simon the Zealot. He's also referred to as Simon the Canaanite. You see, the Zealots were a sect within the Jewish community that wanted to overthrow Rome. You may remember that at this particular time, the children of Israel, the Jewish community, were under the rule of the Roman Empire, the Roman emperor. And so the groups of the Zealots were the ones that were diehard extremists about Jewish independence. And they believed it would come about through finding a Messiah, a Savior, who would storm into Rome and would overthrow the empire. And so you could say there was zeal, but there was a fervor that was in fighting and overthrowing. And he was called to be a disciple. Now, it's interesting to me if you contrast this with Matthew. Matthew, you may remember we talked about a few weeks ago when we talked about Will. Matthew was a tax collector. And so if Simon was at this end of the spectrum wanting to overthrow the Roman Empire, Matthew was working for the Roman Empire, imposing taxes on his own people. He was what they called a traitor or a turncoat. It is no coincidence that they were both called to be disciples. That is akin to today calling the most staunch Republican and the most staunch Democrat and saying, you guys are going to figure out how to work together. That there's something that we need to come together. And so that zeal that he had was to be tempered with all of those other capabilities. So when we look at, so how do I do that? How do I engage zeal and in being enthusiastic in my life? How do I nurture my ability to be an authentic expression, an authentic being for the life of God? Well, it truly is unique. The first thing I want you to hear about it, it is absolutely unique. Enthusiasm is unique. Now, no matter how unique it is, it still needs to be compassionate, would harm none, working for the greater good, wise. We need to honor our diversity in the midst of our common humanity, amen? But enthusiasm really highlights our uniqueness. And so learning and discovering what you love, I remember years ago when I first met my partner in the Seattle area, and she's been a longtime soccer player and was a soccer coach. And so it was rainy, cold night in Seattle at about 8 o'clock. She said, well, I'm going to get dressed and go out I'm going to go play soccer. And I thought, it's cold, it's rainy, and it's 8 o'clock. And you consider this fun. And as she was leaving, I looked at her and I said, I would honestly rather spend the night in jail than do what you are getting ready to do. And I was dead serious. There was nothing about that created enthusiasm in me, but it sparked her joy. Now, when I go on a silent retreat, she looks at me and says, I consider that solitary confinement. I would much rather, And so it's just a matter of learning. And it doesn't mean that you only do what you enjoy, because we all mean to stretch ourselves. But it means accepting the fact, my friend, that you march to the beat of your own drummer. And as long as we're comparing or trying to be enthusiastic by following someone else's formula, it will never be authentic. Because this has to be an authentic experience of the God force in you. And so it calls for self-reflection, self-discovery, and self-application. Do you get that? That when we self-reflect, we self-discover, and we self-express, we apply ourselves. That's what kids do. That's what connects you with your enthusiasm. There's a Zen teaching that I want to draw on today for the next few minutes to just put this into a practice. How do we practice it? In the Zen teaching, they place a lot of emphasis on a vessel. Years ago, my mom gave me this, and it was kind of out of character because it's not typically the kind of gift that she would give me, but I really cherish it. To me, it's a beautiful vessel. It's a cup. And to me, it reflects what we are, that we are this divine instrument. Well, the Buddhists say that there are 3 questions you can ask yourself to help you discover, are you in the flow? Are you in presence? Or are you somehow attached to something else? And so the 3 questions they would ask you, to know yourself as a cup, to know yourself as the giving cup, and we'll get to that. But the 3 questions are, first of all, are you upside down? If you're upside down, then you can't be in right relationship with what's yours to do. The second question that they would ask is, are you full? Because if you're already full of it, you're closed off. And the third question they would ask is, are you leaky? Are you leaking energy? Because if you're leaky, then you're not able to be in the flow. The goal is to be a giving vessel. So how do we do that? So the first one, to ask yourself, am I upside down? To be right side up has to be in right relationship with yourself, with your truth, self-honesty, with your power, with your passion. To be in right relationship with these things. There's a story about a young man who was trying to make a living, trying to put himself through college, and so he decided that he could sell vacuum cleaners. And they were telling him, you gotta really pump up your enthusiasm. You gotta get through that front door, because he kept getting shut down at the front door. I mean, really, who wants to see a vacuum cleaner salesperson at the front door? And he kept getting shut down. And they kept saying, yeah, but you got to pump up yourself. You got to be creative. You got to be enthusiastic and get in that front door and show them what you can do. And so he had an idea. And so as he went to the next house and he encountered this cranky woman that before she could really get an excuse in, he just got by her and went in her living room and he poured out a bag of dirt and dust bunnies. He had collected some dirt and dust bunnies, and she looked at him and said, what in the world are you doing? And he said, listen, I can show you better than I can tell you. If this vacuum cleaner doesn't pick up every single piece and make you happy, then I'll personally eat it. And she said, well, do you like ketchup with your dust bunnies and dirt? And he said, no, let me show you what it can do. And she said, sir, we just moved in and we ain't got no electricity, so do you want ketchup with your with your dirt and your dust bunnies? When we run ahead of ourselves, when we push through, when we're upside down, not really showing up the way that we know we can show up. Upside down to me also means that, you're not putting your whole self, you're not putting your whole heart in it. There's a true story that Zig Ziglar often would tell about two men. He said a large limousine pulls up to a group of workers for a railroad company. And this limousine pulls up and out steps a well-dressed man, and it was the president of that railway company. The president walks up to one of the workers and says, "Well, hi, Bob," and they embrace. "It's good to see you." And then Bob says, "I'm great, Gene. How are you and your wife?" And they name the kids, and they sit there and chit-chat for 5 minutes or so. And then when the president goes on, the workers that are surrounding this guy says, "How in the world do you know the president? We no idea that you were in with him." And he said, "Well, we started working here together 20 years ago." And they said, 20 years ago, and he's president, and we hate to say it, Bob, but you're still working here with us. What happened? And he said, "Well, I've had a lot of time to reflect, but I can tell you what happened. 20 years ago when we started working, the only thing I was invested in was getting my weekly paycheck. But Gene has always been invested in creating something better. He's been invested in something that he believes in." And so the Zen teaching to have enthusiasm flow through your life is, first of all, are you right side up? Are you in right relationship with what sparks your passion, along with your love and your joy? And then the second one is, are you full? Are you closed off? I'm sure you've heard probably the little story about the man who was so hungry for enlightenment. He just wanted more than anything, he wanted to be enlightened. And so he went and he saw the Zen teacher, and he's just poured his heart out and talked and talked and talked and said, "Will you please be my teacher? I so want to be enlightened." And the Zen teacher said, "Well, let's have some tea." And as he handed the man his cup, he began to pour the man the hot water for his tea, but he didn't stop when it reached the top. He just kept pouring, and it started spilling over. And the man said, "Well, what are you doing? What are you doing?" He said, "Aha, like you, so full of yourself, you don't have room for anything else." That when we become full, there's a practice in Buddhism, there's a practice in Christianity to become empty, to release. In a couple of weeks, we're going to talk about release, to let go. Empty doesn't mean that nothing's there. There's another Rinpoche, a Buddhist teacher, who would show his students, he would come in and on a big whiteboard, he'd draw this little V, and he'd say, "What do you see?" And one person would say, "Well, it looks like a bird." "Oh, it looks like a V." And then they try to get really philosophical. "Oh, it looks like a mark on the board. It looks like this." But typically no one said, "I see the spacious board holding a tiny V." His point was that there's two ways of seeing life. You can always focus on the object and objectify things, or you can carve out time to come empty, which is really becoming available to the presence in which I live and move and have my being. The presence upon which and in and as which all of life shows up. But how full are we? How full are we with our thoughts, our wanting to be anything? The unexamined life, quite frankly, is often the most full life because we're just collecting so much. I heard this story this week about 4 women that got together and they were playing cards, and they started comparing. You know how sometimes when you get around somebody for the first time, you may be a little more prone to tell people, what you've got or your credentials or the one-upmanship, so to speak. And these 4 women were playing, and they started then talking about the families they came from, their children. And the first woman said, "Well, my son is a priest. When my son walks into a room, everyone refers to him as father." And they all smiled and said, The second person said, "Well, I'm Catholic too, and my nephew is an archbishop. Now, when he walks in the room, they say His Excellency has arrived." And then the third woman said, "Well, I'm Catholic too, and my oldest brother is a cardinal. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but when a cardinal walks in the room, they say, 'Your Eminence.'" And so they looked at the fourth woman who never skipped a beat, and she said, "Well, My family didn't go to church, and nobody's clergy. But my son is a Chippendale, and when he walks in, people say, "Oh my God." This is the only week I hope my mother's not watching. Truly. When we get so self-absorbed, we get caught up in all of we get full of ourselves and full of stuff every day, all day long. That's why the scriptures say Jesus said, "Come apart for a while." He was saying, I got to shake the dust off. I got to get empty. I got to get in rhythm with my own soul song. You see? Years ago, a group of Americans went to Africa. They wanted to travel to the savannah of Africa and see all the wildlife. As the story goes, they were pushing hard. They had a group of African natives that were traveling with them that were carrying the luggage and translating and showing them the place. And the first day they pushed, second day they pushed, third day they just kept pushing. You know how we do in our Western culture. Fourth morning they got up and all of the people from the African village were under a tree and they refused to move. And the people who were traveling got really upset. They're like, we got to get there. We got to see this. We're going to miss it. And they refused to move. And the translator said, they're telling us that you have pushed them so fast, they need to sit until they can catch up with their soul. When you think about the power of that, what if we would carve out time to say, I got to sit until I can catch up with my soul. I need to find my way to empty, to zero, to presence, so that I can realign with enthusiasm. The life of God, the Spirit of God is there. Through the valleys, through the trials, whether we're facing the greatest opportunity of our life or whether we may be on the brink of the very death of our life. You see, the reason that the vessel is either upside down or not, it's full or available, it's leaky, or it's able to be in right relationship with the flow of life. But hear me now, leaky is not the same as broken. Sometimes broken is the greatest place of opening you can ever enter. Broken is where the light comes through you. Those places in our life, the places in my life when I have felt the most. How many of you have, honest to God, have your heart broken? If you have lived through it and have not grown more rigid, my friend, then you have grown more in your passion. You've learned to be more enthused. Now, it doesn't happen immediately because sorrow and loss will feel like it's consuming you. But the thing that you learn to do is to offer it all on the altar of your heart. You be as real as you can and you offer it up. And what begins to happen is life will move through that and you will feel like you've never felt before, because remember, it's not only enthusiasm, we're also growing in compassion and faith in all of these other things. Amy, would you give me the song? So we ask ourselves, am I right side up? Am I in right relationship with my purpose, my authentic purpose? Am I too full? Do I need to create more spaciousness in my life? Am I leaky? Am I not able to really receive the gift of life and to give the gift of life? I grew up in Eastern North Carolina. My grandparents were farmers, and so I grew up working on a farm. And in Eastern North Carolina, the predominant crop at the time was tobacco. What I did was called put in tobacco. It's hard work in the tobacco field. When I got 15 years old, I was so excited to get a worker's permit and get out of the field, and I got my first job at Wendy's. And they made me a sandwich maker. Now, when you get a job at Wendy's and become a sandwich maker, no matter how a person orders something, there's a specific order that it goes on the sandwich. And so I learned how to do that. And after a few weeks of doing that, the manager called me into his office and said, "You've caught on very quickly." Now I'm 15, remember. "You've caught on very quickly being a sandwich maker, but we've noticed something else. We've noticed that you show up every day enthusiastically. You have great enthusiasm, so we want to move you to the registers to work with customers. We need your enthusiasm in front of people." And so I went home at 15. I had got a promotion. And I told my parents, I said, "I am an enthusiastic person. Did you all know this?" And they said, "Well, of course you are, honey. You're very enthusiastic. But you tell them it's probably gratitude that you're not in the tobacco field anymore." And I learned at 15 years old that gratitude is the greatest fuel for enthusiasm. It really is. You heard Angela say, if you don't know her story, her first husband was killed in that accident. She had a horrible accident. She almost died. Traumatic brain injury. They say you'll be a vegetable. But by the grace of her soul, little by little by little, she gained new life. She found greater love. She found something that she didn't even have then. And what you heard her say is, today I'm incredibly grateful for my life. If you're leaking energy, kindle your gratitude. The way you repair leaky energy is you're worn out. You're resentful. You can't keep your cup full for the life of you. Because it's the giving forth, interestingly. And so I want to close with a picture. I want to introduce you to someone, if you'll show me the picture of blessing. One of the ways we as a spiritual community are going to be giving forth. They'll get the picture up in just a few minutes, but Unity Worldwide is doing something new. There's Unity International, and Unity has a great presence in Africa, in Nigeria, but there's a part of southeastern Nigeria where there's no Unity centers or ministry. This young woman teaches elementary school, and she teaches high school students French as well. But guess what she discovered online during COVID? She discovered Unity churches online. She discovered new thought principles that are radically changing her life. And she reached out and she said, "I want to be a Unity minister. And I want to found a church, and I want to teach our people." And I'm happy to tell you, Unity of the Blue Ridge, we are her sponsor. Yeah. For the next 3 years, we're going to see her through the program, and I'm going to be meeting her on Zoom in a couple of weeks, and then we're going to be meeting her. So I already have a vision of a trip to Nigeria in a few years. We're being called and we're being stretched to connect with that, to connect with being an authentic expression of this life force, individually and collectively. And when we do that, how many of you, when you come here, you leave feeling more enthused? Yeah, it's because of what we create and we share together. That's the power of this. And so I'm so happy of this opportunity and other opportunities where we get to pass this along. So this week, I invite you to examine your relationship with enthusiasm through the metaphor of a cup. Where do I feel like things are upside down? Where do I feel like things are closed off, all too full? Where am I just leaking? And how do I need to move into a more authentic expression, to be the vessel, to be the instrument of the Spirit that I am?
Let me be your vessel. Shine, be glorious. Reflect the divine. Shine, be glorious. Reflect the divine. Spirit of mine, Spirit divine. Please shine your light. Shine.
I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. You are created as one of a kind. You are created as one of a kind, a precious creation of the original. There is none born that is not an original expression of the one. You come into this life and you immediately see the package, the lampshade. You hear the cry, you feel the emotions. You get caught up in the whirlwind of physical existence, and that's not a bad thing. It's actually the vessel that you've been given to use, to master, and then to turn it over. To turn over thyself, thy vessel, thy lampshade. Whatever color, whatever shape, whatever condition, whatever its history, however hidden it has been, however flamboyant it can be, to turn over the lampshade, to not give it up. There's no acquiescing, there's no disowning it, for you were given it. You made it with fibers of God. And yet, know yourself beyond it. Know yourself as the light, the infinite mind, the eternal that just this day as spring unfolds will show you how life is always bringing forth its latest version, its latest expression of all that it can be. That same life energy is all that you are. And yes, the lampshade will change, and you can change the lampshade. But there is no thing that can be done to that shade. There is no thing that can happen or not happen. For you see, even when the lampshade is gone, then, my friend, you will remember, yes, I am one with all that is. But rejoice in this life, for it is a rare gift to be in form. To be in form is to take the idea beyond the concept and put it into concrete expression, to put it into physical manifestation. You are that. You are that. And so we quicken and awaken that which in you, which is enthused. It is God within. It is the activity, the ever-moving river of life, the activity of God expressing in and through and as you. It is urging and impelling. It is stretching and calling. It is saying, shine, 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 and cry, cry, cry. Do whatever you need to do to be authentic and in alignment and to let that light shine. And when you will let the light shine, just as the child that falls and cries in minutes will be restored to the joy of their soul, you too can be restored to the energizing vitality of God that is your essence. So it is true, shine, shine, shine. Shine in your own darkness, shine in your own brokenness. Shine in your own sorrows and shine in your own rejoicing. And then shine with your brother or your sister when all you can see is their brokenness. See through. It is so important right now to see through the damning lampshades that would damn humanity. See through and call forth the light. You can still hold accountable without demonizing. You were born to do that. You were born to call forth the light within one another. So call forth the light. Be the entheos. Be God in expression wherever you are. Shine, shine, shine.
Shine, be glorious, reflect the divine. Shine Shine, be glorious, reflect the divine. Shine, be glorious, reflect the divine. Spirit of mine, Spirit divine, let me shine your light. Let me be your vessel. Let me be your vessel. Let me be your vessel of love. Let me be your vessel. Yes. Let me be your vessel. Let me be your vessel of love. Sing it with us. Let me be your vessel. Let me be your vessel. Let me be your vessel of love. Let me be your vessel. 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 Let me be your vessel of love. Let me be your vessel. Let me be your vessel. Let me be your vessel.
Shine.
Shine, be glorious. Reflect the divine. Sing it with us. Shine, be glorious. Reflect the divine. Spirit of mine, Spirit divine, let me shine your light. Yeah.
Shine. Yeah. It's so it is. Yeah. Enthusiasm. Yeah. Just take an opportunity to look around and soak that in. Would you play just a little bit more of that, Amy? Somebody said it's going to make me cry. That's a good thing.
Yes.
That means your cup spills over. When your cup spills over, well, now that's just the best. One more time, shine.
Shine, be glorious, reflect the divine. Shine, be glorious, reflect the divine. Spirit of mine, Spirit divine, let me shine your light. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Oh, Amy, thank you so
Love
much.
you. Isn't she amazing, you guys?
That bless you. Bless you. I want you to know you're calling this forth. Someone asked me, they said, what book are you drawing this from? And I said, the book of God. That unity, there's the 12 powers and some has been written about it, but it's never been taken to the level of being. And so what's coming through, there's no way to say it other than it's very inspired. And so I just appreciate us creating this, because anytime something like comes through, it means that energetically it's moving through too. I want to thank you for really engaging it. I want to thank those of you online for really engaging it too. Many of you are reaching out, and so we just appreciate the feedback. Each week I also like to take this opportunity to thank you for your presence, your participation, and your financial support in realizing that there's no such thing as secular in spirit, that our spirit is meant to energize all parts of our life. And so when we get to invest in something like this, where we can do what we're doing with blessing, and we can create this place for each other, just blesses my heart, and I know it blesses yours. And I have to tell you, I don't know if all of you know this, because we're the church is on Old Fanning Bridge Road. However, a number of years ago, we sold some of our back property to a Buddhist group where there's a memorial sanctuary here. And so they had to rename our little driveway because now it's leading to another business. It's called Blessing Way. And so when Unity Worldwide, I had told them we were interested in being able to sponsor. When they called and they said, we have a first candidate, her name is Blessing. I'm like, I think that's the one. So I want to thank you. So I thank you for your support. If we all do what we can do and do what's ours to do, that's how it works. I want to thank you for that. Amy's got one more song for us, and then we're going to have a closing prayer together.
And you know that I like to make a wrap of her talk.
Oh,
so
Lord.
at the end of this song, there'll be a little section where I wrap up her talk in rap. So you get to hear the talk twice.
I can't wait to hear it.
Yes, and you get to hear your own message. Exactly. This is a song of mine called Power. There's a power in a seed, reminding itself how to become a tree. There's a power in a cell, and it's capable of making a you or a me. There's a power in a word, vibrating at a frequency. And there's a power inside that power, inside that power. You know what it is? It's love, 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 love. Sing that with me, love. Love, 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 love. And you can feel it revealed when an open, broken heart begins to be healed. It breaks like the sky when a long, dark night starts spinning on the wheel of the world. Watch it rise. Out of the ashes comes another day of bright light shining through your eyes. So much surprise every time we fall in love, 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 love. Sing it with me, come on. Love, 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 love. Let it up, love, 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 love. Hey, Dave, you wanna show me some of those chops you got? Sexier than that? Is there anything? Sorry, Mom's not watching today, remember? The Chippendale? All right. Here's your rap. Here's your rap, Rev Darlene. Show up as the shade to be the light of God, authentically expressing the zeal of love. Got a bumper sticker saying that we church-going folk got a road rage, you're gonna get pulled over by the po-po. Enthusiasm giving divine discontent. Better update or be like a giraffe all bent. Let live life, live you like a child. Let your enthusiasm go wild. March to the beat of your own drum. Live from a place of self-expression, self-reflection. Gotta stay open, plug leaks, show up. Gotta be in the right relationship with your giving cup. Stay empty for the work through you. Shake off the dust, let the spirit move through. Yeah, let the spirit move through you.
Yeah.
There's a power in a seed, reminding itself how to become a tree. There's a power in a cell, and it's capable of making a you or a me. There's a power in a word, vibrating at a frequency, and there's a power inside that power. And back of that power, you know what it is? 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 What is it, unity? It's love.
That was awesome. How you made giraffe rhyme with whatever it rhymed with was incredible to me. That's pretty impressive. Amy's going to be out. If you do not have one of her CDs, those last 2 songs she did, that's her original music. So she's going to be out. Our band's going to play that in just a moment. But we'll close with a prayer called the Prayer of Protection by James Dillett Freeman. Would you please stand? It says, "The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well." May you have an enthusiastic week of showing up authentically as the life of God. You're a blessing. Thank you so much. Play us out, band.